Assalamualaikum, I am Memoona Khan, and today the topic of my discussion is the poem The Last Duchess, which was written by the Robert Browning. Now, the first I talk about the introduction. The Last Duchess is a poem by the Robert Browning. It is the dramatic monologue in which the speaker, the Duke of Ferrara, reveals his jealousy and possessiveness toward his late wife. The poem explores the theme of power, control, and gender roles. It's a chilling portrayal of toxic masculinity and power. Afterwards, I discuss the summary of the poem. The poem The Last Duchess by Robert Browning is a dramatic monologue in which the Duke of Ferrara speaks to an emissary of the court whose daughter he hopes to marry. The Duke shows the emissary painting of his former wife, the last Duchess, and tells the story of how she died. The Duke reveals that he was jealous of his wife's flirtatious behavior and had her killed. The poem explores the theme of power and especially control and jealousy. Now I discuss more about the poem. Throughout the poem, the Duke's controlling and jealous nature is revealed as he describes how he did not like the way his wife smiled at the other man. He also mentioned that he gave command to his wife and that she did not obey them. The Duke's jealousy and desire for control over his wife ultimately lead to her death. The painting of the Duchess becomes a symbol of the Duke's desire for control, as he reveals that he keeps the painting behind the curtains or only show it to those he deems worthy. The Duke's obsession with the painting and his desire to control the narrative of his wife's life and death are further evidence of his controlling nature. He killed his wife because she used to smile and talk friendly with other men. Now I discuss some themes of the poem, which was power, wealth, toxic masculinity, control, art of form of power. Power and the control are central themes in the poem, and the Duke of Ferrara is shown to be a man who desired absolute control over his wife and her behavior. The Duke's obsession with his own power and status is revealed through his treatment of the Duchess, who he sees as a profession rather than a human being. Jealousy is another important theme in the poem, and the Duke's jealousy and suspicion of his wife's behavior ultimately lead to her death. The Duke's desire for control over his wife is driven by his fear of losing her to other men. Gender roles are also explored in the poem, as the Duchess is portrayed as a victim of the Duke's controlling and jealous behavior. The poem raises questions about the role of women in the society and the way in which they are often subject to the desires and whims of men. Finally, art is also an important theme in the poem, as the painting of the Duchess become a symbol of Duke's desire for control over her even in death. The painting is also a reminder of the Duchess' beauty and the Duke's jealousy of her flirtatious behavior. So the conclusion of my discussion of the poem The Last Duchess is that The Last Duchess is a complex poem that explores theme of power, control, jealousy, gender roles, and the art. Through the dramatic monologue of the Duke of Ferrara, and the poem reveals the Duke's controlling and jealousy nature, as well as his obsession with power and status. The painting of the Duchess become a symbol of the Duke's desire for control over her even in death. The poem raises important questions about the role of women in the society and the ways in which they are often subject to the desires and whims of men. Ultimately, The Last Duchess is a powerful exploration of human nature and the darker aspects of the human physique. Thank you.